prison look and everything. So when I said come to 2025, how could something like this happen? As far as a 10-man jail?
I think it was just a complete failure to maintain the building, to have the discipline, within the building. It's really almost unbelievable to me that they would let the building get into this kind of disrepair, and then to lie about it and say that it needs all of these upgrades, it needs this. I mean, look, if you ever own a home or do anything like that, things wear out, and especially if you're using a building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you have to maintain it. That's just common sense, It's just, ridiculous to say that it was the building's fault. It's not the building's fault. You have to maintain it.
Could something like this happen on your watch at that time? Could something like this happen? And if not, why not?
That's why we built this building. We built this building with the security electronics, with the redundant systems. We built it as a direct supervision facility, just for that very reason. Look, I was as I told you, in temporary buildings and outdated buildings, and we had a couple of people that left out, and escaped, but nothing like this, nothing, 10 people in the jailbreak. It's a very secure building, but like anything else, if you don't maintain you can put an alarm in your house. If you don't turn it on, it's not going to do you any good.
Exactly. Hey, what were you thinking when you first heard the news, before the facts came out, and you get the news? What's going through your mind?
I just said there must have been a complete failure of the system. The failure to watch it, failure to listen to the system, and just a failure all around. And then I heard that there were some help from people inside. That didn't surprise me. But even with the help from the inside, there were enough systems in place that this shouldn't have happened.
When I'm reading comments, I get a lot that due to the way they escaped, is it possible they had law enforcement help?
I saw these jail cells being built, and they made them with rebar, and then they poured the concrete in, about 4.5, 5 inches of concrete, toilet and everything. The toilets were bolted with 6 bolts to this concrete. No, they couldn't have happened without help, because you're not pulling a toilet off the wall. You're not digging through this concrete to make a hole. I mean, I heard a lot of things.
Now with clippers anyway. They say they use hair clippers, which was really weird.
That's obviously someone who's, just, spinning the tail. They didn't use clippers. You had to have some sort of industrial grade tool to cut through this rebar, and then you had to have the bolts loosened or removed on the back of the toilets. But even then, you would be in a secure pipe chase, and if that pipe chase door is open, then the alarm would go off.
Hey, yo, what up, my 1751 family? I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, man. For those of you who have already subscribed to this channel, I'd like to take my hat off to y'all, man. Thank y'all for your unwavering support. It means so much to me. And for those of you who have yet to subscribe to this channel, but you enjoy watching these videos, go on ahead and take a second, man, to go over and smash that subscribe button, man. And don't forget to hit that bell notification while you at it. Anyway, getting into it, man. We're gonna be doubling down on this Antoine Massey situation. As a lot of you know, we've been keeping up with this story, man, about the 10 inmates that escaped from the New Orleans Parish, justice system, the jail, the county jail in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, 8 of these guys have been captured already. 2 are still on the loose. Now, one of these guys, 1/10 1/10 of the inmate escapees, Antoine Massey. This guy, I believe he's, out of all 10 of these guys, man, he's playing his cards right. You know, regardless as to what people might say or think about the things that he's doing. You know, a lot of people saying that they don't think that was a smart move for him to go on camera and show the background and all that. You know, I can agree to that, but I don't know what the young brother's aim is. You know, he's the one that's on the run. Obviously, he's a thinker. You know, he's not just a shallow young guy, man. He's a thinker. You know, now, his family members, you know, it's a reward on the guy. You know, it's 50,000 on the guy's head. So, he can't trust anybody, man. You know, because they're saying that his own relatives called Crime Stoppers, man, and gave the hit. You know, gave the heads up on the guy, man. You know, that kitchen, someone recognized that kitchen, right? But like I was saying, man, you know, by the time they got the hit and got the information on, you know, the residence where that kitchen was, where he did that video, he was long gone.
This is where investigators believe Massey recorded this viral video. Family members tipped off police about a location on Agriculture Street, and Monday night around 10 p.m., neighbors say police raided the home.
And I heard when they broke the door, and I could hear it from my back room. So they were loud.
Massey was not inside, but investigators say they recovered the clothes he wore when he recorded the video.
You know, that young guy's not that dumb, man. He's not a stupid guy, man. You know, I'm quite sure they know that by now. He's not a dumb guy. You know, they're saying that this video that he did was an old video. It was an old video. Maybe days or even a week earlier, you know, then it was released. And that, you know, and I'm guessing, man, this young guy, the way he's been moving, man, he wouldn't be dumb enough to go live from a kitchen and show the whole background and actually be in that location. You know, that would be very unwise of this guy, man. But what you gotta understand is, because I also heard people say that they're now waiting for Derrick Rose to make a video and to try to claim his innocence. Because if a lot of you know, if you've been following the story and the history on these guys, Derrick Rose was tried 3 times as well, and they couldn't get him, but they got him on the 3rd time. So a lot of people believe that the system has wronged this young guy as well, right? But what you have to understand is Antoine Massey was facing a slew of charges, right? But none to the caliber of murder. He wasn't facing murder. He was facing a scrape. He was facing domestic violence charges, you know, theft of a motor vehicle, things of that nature, right? So when I look at the way he's moving compared to the way, say, Derrick Rose is moving, you know, the way he's staying low key, Derrick Rose can't afford to slip up and make a video like that to try to prove his innocence. Derrick Rose, see the difference between Derrick Rose and Antoine Massey is Derrick Rose was already convicted of murder. He was convicted of murder. So for the people out there who are saying, you know, Derrick Rose, you know, is he's making out good because Antoine Massey is catching all the attention and it seems like nobody's even worried about Derrick Grove. Derrick Grove, the best thing for that brother to do, man, is to stay low, the best that he can, and try to get out of the country. if possible. Now, you also have people saying that, it's like a debate. Do you think by Antoine Massey doing that video, do you think that that is causing the authorities, to close in on him? Now, if you ask me, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I believe this young guy is not your average young guy. This guy is a thinker, man. And the average young guy out here is not a thinker. And I'm just gonna say that, man. A lot of these young guys, man, they need someone to think for them. But this guy Antoine Massey, man, obviously you see the chess pieces on his face, and the way he got him set up. You can tell this guy is you can tell he's a chess player, right? And some might say, he's playing chess. He's playing chess while law enforcement is playing checkers, right? And that could very much be the case, because this young guy, man, it's been 10 days. It's been 10 days. Everyone else is caught. The guy Linton Van Buren Jr., his mother is speaking out. She's saying that she never thought that she would be on the news for her son escaping jail, but she still want to support him no matter what. Like any mother would or should.
Van Buren was set to have a mental competency hearing on May 29th related to the homicide charges, according to court records.
I just couldn't believe it. I was like, how can y'all break out the jail? I'm still shocked about it because I just don't believe it.
Natasha, Linton's mother, says her son never communicated with her once he got out of the Orleans Parish Justice Centre nearly 3 weeks ago. State police say they've arrested 7 people for allegedly helping him.
It's very overwhelming. I didn't think I'd ever be on the news for my son. Of course, I don't condone him, breaking out of jail, but at the end of the day, he's still my child.
Natasha says Tuesday was the first time she heard her son's voice since the jailbreak.
The lady said, regardless of what the situation is, that is still her son. She's going to support him, and she loves her son, dearly. And she said that when her son escaped, he didn't contact her. And thank God he didn't, man, because that lady seems like, she just seemed like a loving individual, man, and who doesn't need to be caught up in some mess that her son is caught up in, because they would have definitely arrested her, man, regardless of all the accomplishments she made in her life, the way she lived her life the legitimate way. These people, they're salty right now. They're embarrassed. If he would have called his mother and she would have did anything to help this young guy as a mother to a son, she would have also been arrested. So let's thank God, man, that this woman, that this young guy, Linton Van Buren Jr., let's just thank God that he didn't reach out to his mother. Smart move, man. Smart move. If you're gonna break out of jail, man, maybe the smart thing to do would be to avoid your family, avoid your loved one. Do not reach out to them, because you can very much get them in a situation that they don't need to be in, right? But getting back to Antoine Massey, man, this young brother, man, whether you believe him or not, those who have been caught up in the justice system, whether guilty or not guilty, whether you was rightfully convicted or wrongfully convicted, inside that jailhouse, man, when you behind those walls and you experiencing the foul treatment and the living conditions in a lot of these jails, man, where they don't even they're underfunded and they shouldn't even be housing inmates in these facilities. But jail is supposed to make you not want to ever come back. So I guess that works towards their advantage. if there are things not working correctly, underpaid staff, COs, corrections. It's supposed to make you, it's supposed to correct you and make you not ever want to go back to jail again, right? But these young guys, man, Antoine Massey, he's saying that he's stating that the woman who was the original accuser of the sexual assault claim, she reneged. She took that claim back, and that case was still pursued. It was still pursued, and I'm guessing he wasn't convicted of it. I'm guessing he wasn't convicted of the rape. But the young woman, what's funny, man, is the young woman who originally made that sexual assault claim is supposedly one of the women who helped Antoine Massey once he escaped. And she's supposedly supposed to be one of the women who's wrapped up in this in all of this mess, for aiding and abetting after the fact. So how ironic is that? The complainant, the alleged victim of this guy's charges, is now a suspect for aiding and abetting the same individual who she accused of raping her, right? Try to make sense of all that. I'm trying to grapple with that. My mind. I just can't. I can't seem to bring that together, man. Now this young guy, Antoine Massey, like he said, man, the system is corrupt. In New Orleans, man, they have a history. They have a history of corrupt policing. Like the young guy Derrick Rose, his grandmother was tragically shot down by a hitman sent by a New Orleans police officer.
Kim Groves shot and killed in front of her home in October of 1994.
Former police officer Lynn Davis ordered a hitman to kill a New Orleans mother.
He said Derrick came across to her as a normal kid, despite his grandmother being killed by a hitman on the orders of New Orleans police officer Len Davis.
Before the young guy was even born. So his family has quite the history with law enforcement in New Orleans. So they would have every right. They would have every reason to come down on this young guy, man. Whether he was guilty or not guilty of the Mardi Gras shooting, they found him guilty of it. But they tried him 3 times, which got the community. Community is kind of leaning towards. This is corruption. This is corruption. Because they have a history with this young guy's family. A long history, right? Now, like I said, man, Antoine Massey is facing charges such as scrape. Gotta watch that word here on YouTube. So we're gonna say scrape, right? Could be, sexual assault, battery, whatever, right? Theft of a motor vehicle, and just domestic violence charges, whatever that may be, right? Which is totally different than Derrick Rose charges and conviction. Derrick Rose, he was convicted, a 4-time murderer. Right? So, for those of you who are expecting Derrick Rose to try to make a video and plead some type of innocence and and beg for help from anybody who's willing to help that got some money, you're probably not going to get that. This young guy, he understands that freedom is something that he has to take. And once he take it, he got to keep it and hold on to it as long as he can. Whatever he got to do, as long as he's not behind those walls for the moment. You know, now being a guy that, you know, that been through that system multiple times, man. You know, I've been arrested for things that I've done, and I've been arrested for things that I have not done because of my reputation, right? But that's what comes with having a certain, you know, street type of reputation, right? When things happen in the neighborhood, your name get thrown around sometimes. You know, your names are always on people's tongue, and sometimes people get arrested, smaller charges, and the police understand that these people, they rather be home. And if they can get a bigger person or somebody with a more serious crime, you know, then they're willing to cut a deal with these people and let them out, let them go home, man. As long as they can get some viable information that can lead to a bigger case, you know, on a bigger fish, right? Now, Derrick Rose, for those of you, like I said, if you're expecting him to make a video like Antoine Massey pleading for help, he's likely not going to do that, man. You know, Derrick Rose is likely somewhere being covered by some assistance, right? Someone's helping him. As you can see, the earlier video about a week ago, you seen a video of these three guys. Was it 3 or 4? I believe it was 3 of them. I could be mistaken. You can see these guys, they're walking together. And they walked in a block, then they turn back and they walk through an alleyway, like a back, you know, like a back middle cut type of thing between houses or small businesses, right? Like an alleyway type sort of thing, right? But they seem to not have an idea where they was going to end up next. They just knew that they had to stay, you know, try to stay off the main street, right? But in my early videos, I said, you know, these guys, man, they might as well have stayed inside that jail, man, because they're chasing their tail, man. You know, they don't know where to go next. And if a lot of you remember, on one of my first videos I did on this situation, I said, these guys, man, they're not even confident enough to split up. They're not even confident enough to split up. There's no way all 3 of them should be on camera days after the escape. You know, I know goddamn well if I escape with 10 guys, man, once we get out of there, man, I don't want to be around none of them motherfuckers. I don't want nobody to mess up or show face or make no mistakes. If I go back, it's going to be on account of my own mistake. You know, but obviously, man, you know, as time went on, these guys split up. Smart move. They split up. And now you have Antoine Massey, who pulled a, you know, he pulled a smart chess move. You know, he pulled a smart chess move. He wouldn't have got this type of attention, you know, because in my last video I said, you know, if he was only going to break out to make a video to try to plead for help, he would have been better off just staying behind a wall and just calling home on a jail phone and have somebody say, you know, I got Antoine Massey on the phone, you know, and they could have pulled their cell phone out and just recorded and let him say whatever he's saying in that video. He could have sit on the phone, you know, and but then when I thought about it, I said, you know, he could have done that, right? But it likely wouldn't have got the attention that it is getting now, that he's escaped, you know, and he's free and on the run, and the authorities are frustrated that they can't catch up with him, you know. And now that the world or you know, national within the United States, now that everybody's alert that you know, there's only 2 left. The guy's, you know, he's raising the fame. Well, I'm gonna say infamy, right? But for him to go viral, I mean, for him to go do a video, this brother went viral, man. He went viral, and now anybody who sees this video, man, it is cause for concern and debate. You know, was this guy really falsely convicted, wrongfully convicted? You know, why was this guy still arrested? If the victim, you know, if he got documents stating that the victim claimed that, you know, these allegations were false. You need a victim to get a conviction most of the time, you know, unless you got a deceased victim, or a scared victim that's scared to come forth. And a lot of times, I'm guessing that's the reason why, you know, like in my state, Commonwealth will come forward, even if sometimes the victim renege. Commonwealth likes to pick up cases here in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, you know, because they don't know whether, you know, there's the reason why the victim is not coming to court is because they fear the suspect, so they're not letting guys get off that easy, you know, because a lot of times victims think about it like, you know, I can't go to that courthouse, although I bring these charges up on this person and I accuse them. I'm not going to that courthouse in front of all these people, because you got to think about it, man. A lot of times the suspect has support. A lot of times the neighborhood will show up just to be nosy. The whole neighborhood come to the court date just to see you point the finger, just so they can get a confirmation that this person pointed the finger at this person and you know, got this guy, you know, convicted. Right? So a lot of times victims, they be under pressure because they don't want to appear. They just want this person arrested for what they claim they done to him, but they don't want to be that person that has to come to court and stand in front of an audience of support for the suspect, you know, and point the finger and say, yes, that guy right there did that to me, right? So I'm guessing for that fact, for that matter, a lot of times Commonwealth are going ahead and pursue the case with whatever evidence they may have without the victim and try to still get a conviction, right? And maybe that's what looked like happened here. But, you know, do I think the authorities is closing in on this brother because of this video? I highly doubt it. Now, I do believe that the authorities may feel confident that Antoine Massey is somewhere within the area, because that property wasn't too far from the jail where he escaped. They say about 15 to 20 minutes from the jail that he escaped from. So Antoine Massey is likely still in the area somewhere. Unless, like I said, unless he did that video a whole week before. You know, and he may be long gone now and be playing chess, like I said. He could be throwing him off. You know, he could think about it this way. That video getting released at the time that it was released could be a throw off to get them, because you know once you showed them that kitchen, you know, in the video, you know that as soon as they get a hit on that property, they're going to run straight to that property. That could be a throw off. While you got their attention at that property, he can be making his move to get out the city or out the state, or possibly out the country. You know, if he's that smooth, right? However, you know, it takes money to do anything. It takes money to move, man. You can't do nothing without money. So obviously, man, this guy, he got somebody who's helping him, who's assisting him with staying a step ahead of law enforcement. You know, there's no way he's doing it on his own, man. There's no way. You know, unless he's moving around as a Muslim sister. You know, I've known guys who've done that, which I don't condone, man. You know, you putting our sisters, is already a bad stigma, which America and, you know, just the liberals and, you know, white America, I'm gonna say that. They already look at our Muslim sisters, man, their dress codes, you know, as inappropriate for whatever reason, man. You know, I'm not gonna get into that. But they already have a problem with our sisters' dress codes, which is a holy dress code. You know, modesty, you know, covering the figure, you know, covering the ability for a random man to lust over your curvaceous figure, you know. But that's for a whole different story, right? But unless this brother is moving around like that under an overgarment, you know, in a veil, and just showing the eyes, and that's it, and purposely imitating the walk of a, you know, an oversized woman with some type of hip disability, or, you know, in a situation like this, man, that's probably your best bet to try to stay ahead of law enforcement. You know, change your walk up. You know, you're gonna have to learn how to walk different. Unless he got some type of disguise, eventually, well, he's already said out his own mouth. You know, he just wanna plead his innocence before he go back. So obviously the brother is, you know, he already knows that eventually he will be caught, whether he turns himself in or he's caught, you know, or he's captured, right? But he just want to make sure that, you know, his case is considered for review, to bring back up to the forefront for review. Hopefully, you know, you get a lawyer that's willing to, who's feeling what this guy is saying, you know, who's convinced by what this guy is saying, and who's willing to work pro bono, you know, to try to bring about some justice, man, for this young guy, man. Hopefully there's a lawyer somewhere out there, man, who's actually willing to hear this guy out, man, and you know, who understands that us young middle-aged black men, the system sometimes have it out for us, man. You know, and they're not looking to give us a fair trial. A lot of times when you have a young black man with tattoos on his face, and he have a certain history, you know, the system, a lot of times they don't play fair, man. They discriminate, you know, they judge in a bad light, you know, they not considerate, they're inconsiderate, you know, when it comes to people, you know, like middle-aged black men with a face full of tattoos, man, with a bad criminal history. A lot of times they judge themselves, whether they're trying to, or you know, or whether they're not trying to. Sometimes just naturally, man, you know, a person who's, you know, who's in that type of profession, you see a young guy come in front of you with you know, with a long history of criminal activity and escaping from different facilities, and he also have tattoos on his face. A lot of times, man, that can play into you know, a judge not considering that this young guy should also have equal rights in a fair trial. You know, a lot of times the DA, they play on the fact that this young guy has a history and he has tattoos all over his face, you know, and probably don't have too many people in support, you know, because especially if you got these charges and you don't have a good legal team, that also can say things, you know, like that also can be a kind of telltale sign that you don't really have too many people in your corner who's willing to support you and make sure that you have a legal team, you know, a reasonable legal team to help you fight these type of charges that you're faced with, right? So, you know, I'm just hoping that, man, this young guy, because I kind of believe him, man. You know, I kind of believe him, because like I said, I'm a guy who's been railroaded before, man. I've been railroaded, man. Although I ended up beating it on a technicality, I was railroaded, man. You know, and I sat 2 years in one of my cases for a robbery that I did not commit. You know, but being as though at that time, in that era of my life, I was into a lot of street shit, man. You know, I was robbing, taking a lot of money, and just doing a lot of shit, man, to you know, just to try to better my situation in the street life. You know, to kind of have the things that I wanted, and you know, I have no excuse for my past. You know, I've done some things that I look back on today, man, and I just, you know, the only thing I can say, man, is, you know, I was a misguided young guy, man, and I thank God often, man, that out of all the things I've been through, man, I'm able to be here today, sitting here, you know, reviewing different stories, man, all across the nation, you know, with my audience, with my viewers, you know. It's a blessing to me, man. You know, I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot, man. You know, but anyway, man, it's your boy, Mr. 1751, bringing you another 1751 review. And until next time, hey, if you enjoy watching videos like these, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Help your boy get into the algorithm so that I can continue to bring you more videos just like the one you just watched. Anyway, until next time, y'all stay up.
Louisiana have the highest incarceration rate in the world for putting black people away. Yes, at the end of the day, in my younger life, I'm not gonna lie, I was causing problems. I was young. My daddy got killed when I was 7 years old. My mom had to raise 4 children by herself, so I had to find a way to try to help my mother. You feel what I'm saying? But as time went on, the person that I once was, I'm not that person today. That is not who I am. I have a 3-year-old son. I have an 18-year-old daughter that graduated yesterday, supposed to be. At the end of the day, that people don't understand that they see that I'm armed and dangerous. I have a heart.
This is where investigators believe Massey recorded this viral video. Family members tipped off police about a location on Agriculture Street, and Monday night around 10 p.m., neighbors say police raided the home.
And I heard when they broke the door, and I could hear it from my back room. So they were loud.
Massey was not inside, but investigators say they recovered the clothes he wore when he recorded the video.